Hello and welcome to episode 13 of the Smart Home Collective. Today, delighted to be joined by Matt from Not Enough Tech and Andrea Donno. Gents, good evening.
Good evening.
Oh,
This has been a long episode in making, Matt. I think I reached out to you a long time ago, a good couple of years ago, to say, do you want to come on the show? And said, I'm really, really busy. And finally, we've managed to hook up, which has been good.
yeah. It's. I think it's a perfect time for the podcast because I have a lot of time in which I'm at home working on something. So, and I have, as always, more than one project in the pipeline. So there's plenty to talk about.
Good. And Andrea, you and me, I think, first spoke 2 years ago. I was trying to set up the NFC tag reader, and you were kind enough to give me some of your time over Discord to help me.
I can't remember.
Mhm.
It's been so long.
And I thought, that's the guy that did that tag reader. One day I'll get him on the podcast. And we're here.
And we're here, finally. We
Finally.
made it.
It's awesome to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Matt, I'll come to you first, and I'm going to just quickly, for those that are watching on YouTube, I'm going to share my screen and bring up your YouTube channel. So for those who don't know Matt, I followed Matt on YouTube for years, and I actually think, Matt, this is a bit of a fanboy moment. I've followed probably the longest smart home channels I've followed on YouTube is yourself.
Thank you.
So why did you start it? And actually, one of the questions we actually got from the community is, why the name?
Oh, that wasn't the first name. When I started, it was pole position, as a pole position, and it wasn't really a name I selected by thinking about anything. It was just like, I need something because I need it for my first domain, and that's what came to my mind. And once I started to get some traction, I realized that the name isn't really representative to what I'm doing, and I should really make it searchable, easy to remember, and something that is actually someone can handle it properly. So I switched over quickly to Not Enough Tech.
Okay.
And there wasn't really any iterations. It came to me quite quickly and just stuck with it.
Okay. And what was the reason for starting the channel? Which has grown quite a lot. I mean, 41,500 subscribers, so congrats to that. But
Thank you.
Was what made you start it?
The two things. I think the most contributing factor was the fact that I got bored at work. I had a boring job at a customer support in online gambling. Very frustrating, very demanding, and I needed something. So I started with simple electronics, and because I learn by writing things down. First, I started to write down on the paper, then I started to write down on a computer, and then I had the idea where I gonna just write it down on a website because I can access this at work, I can access this at home, I can, it was for me. And then people started to compliment my notes, and I was just like, okay. And then I covered a couple of Tasker things, and at the same time on pocketables.com, Andres, that used to handle Tasker, and that was my kind of first automation adventure. He left because of personal choices. I guess he pursued something else. And I've reached out and asked if I could contribute to pocketables.com. And that gave me a drive to kind of do stuff for myself and then kind of get a little bit more exposure through Tasker articles. And that was the beginnings.
Good stuff. It's been going from strength to strength then.
Like I say, I never had a plan for this. That wasn't an idea that I'm going to have a channel, I'm going to have a website or anything. I just really enjoyed doing this. And at first, it was just for me, for the means of note taking. But later on, I started to have more and more ideas. And believe me or not, when I say this, this is the most silly thing that I'm going to say to myself now. But I used to worry that I will have nothing to write about. I kid you not. Right now, I have 75 drafts. Those are just things that kind of in a pipeline. I have 75 drafts written.
Haven't you reached the point where you have so much that you want to do anything anymore? There's like a point I always call it like the overload. So like there's a moment you don't have enough work, so you don't work because there's not enough work and you don't get to motivate yourself. And then you have just the right amount of work where you can just pace through and you see, you know, okay, I'm going to do this and then this and then this, and there's a timeline of events that you're going to do. But when you have 75 drafts, you don't know which one to pick anymore. You don't know which one to prioritize. So you get lost in the thing, and that gets you actually like what did we call
kind of paralysis.
Yeah, paralysis. Exactly. It was the word I was looking. Yeah. So in the end, you could just get overwhelmed and you don't do anything anymore.
I'm prone to this. I'm not going to lie. There are moments when I'm looking at the stuff I need to do, and I genuinely don't know which one to pick. And moving each project 5% onwards feels so counterproductive because you don't see anything for a long time, and then suddenly you finish like 10 projects and you have content for 10 videos in a row. But over the time I came with the idea where I have certain things have deadlines, certain things are more topic specific, and certain things are just something I'm going to commit more time, but I'll allow myself to have a longer kind of delivery time.
Yeah.
And those are kind of like one of the examples for that was I think silent 3D printing, something I spent probably 2 or 3 months altogether on working on and off. And I knew it's not going to do very well as a video article, but it gave me a lot of satisfaction, and I was really happy with the end result. And I was kind of looking at this and thinking like, I'm happy with what I've done, and I'm happy I've done it, and I'm glad I paced myself. And then I have a short-term projects like receiving Raspberry Pi 5 a day before it's being released, and then I stay until 6 a.m. just edit the video out, ready for release for 7 o'clock. So the key is to keep yourself excited.
Because you're still not doing this full time, are you? You still got another job.
Yes, I work full time, so I work 40 hours in making robots.
So how do you manage and balance the YouTube life, the vast amount of work you need to
I think a lot of things is down to what you enjoy doing, and there are other hobbies that got sacrificed because of what I'm doing on YouTube, what I'm doing on the website. I have education in fine art, and I used to draw quite a bit and paint. Now this is completely on in the background. It's just I don't do that very often. I would still probably enjoy it, but I just enjoy making videos more. So certain hobbies became allocated, and if you like what you're doing, I would lie to say it never feels like a chore. It does feel like a chore, and especially when you have deadlines, especially when you edit yet another task motor flashing tutorial, and you're like, "This is not creative at all. Why am I doing this? I'm not doing this for the views." But if you really enjoy it, then if you give me a day off, I'll just sit down and try to tinker with something, and whether it's camera on or camera off, it's still a good time.
So does it come full circle that the hobby became a job and a chore to a degree?
I try not to, because I already have a full-time job and this is my full commitment. My job is really interesting. I learn a lot, and I got my job because of my website, which kind of also helps me to validate what I do online. But I think ever since I started to go through a divorce, I started to slow down a little bit, mostly because I needed some time. And that flexibility when you don't treat the YouTube channel as your job, where you kind of like, I want to do this when I want to, and when you can move stuff around, when you don't have fixed deadlines, that helps you to kind of do it long time. Because I know people have a burnout, and I probably hit a mini burnouts before too, but that was at the time when I was doing like 2 or 3 videos a week,
which is a lot.
I have like 700 videos, and I'm just like, really, when?
Yeah, that's a lot. Very interesting. Okay, thanks, Matt. Andrea, over to you.
Who are you? Want to know?
Why are you here?
I've been invited by you.
So we first crossed paths, as I said it earlier, was the tag reader. I'm going to again just ping this on the screen for those on YouTube. So the NFC tag reader for Home Assistant was what I knew you for. Very prominent on Twitter, kind of in that Home Assistant world community. But how did you get into that space? What was where did you come from, and why in this kind of this Home Assistant world?
So it all started when I was building a new home, and so my home got installed KNX. So as a backbone, I have KNX.
Okay.
But components for KNX are quite expensive. Like having touch screens get you up to 5K quite easily. Yep. And I was looking for an alternative, so I've been looking for some stuff. And a work colleague was using OpenHub. So I've tried OpenHub, but it wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah,
so whatever I did, I just went to Google. I said smart home web UI interface, fancy. And then I saw a Home Assistant interface, and I'm talking about like 2016, even before maybe. So I'm one of the almost first users of Home Assistant.
Yep.
And the interface was looking like quite interesting already. And I said, okay, I'm going to try it. Let's give it a shot. So I got into Home Assistant. I automated my whole home, and then at some point, like in 2020, when COVID hit, I remember Paulus saying he would like to have one day. He already promoted his card readers. He said he wanted to have it in Home Assistant at one day, whatever. And I got into contact with Paulus, and I said, maybe I'm going to get some time, and I'm going to try to get it to work. So the first iteration was only just read the tag and pass the tag ID to Home Assistant via a text value. And then once that worked, Paulus and the Home Assistant team built the whole tag stuff around it. And on the other hand, I've started just to solder the stuff, and then there was the big release, and tech readers were released. So that was also the first, let's say, Home Assistant, not sponsored, not backed, but they promoted it from a DIY guy. Let's say it like this. I didn't expect it to have such success. I remember when Paulus told me, get ready, you will have a lot of success. And I said, I have 100 devices on hold. In 2 days, I sold I think I had 1,000 devices or something like that.
Wow, that's nice.
And I had to solder each one by one because I didn't have a PCB at the time. It took me a lot of time, and I burned my fingers quite a lot. But and all
1,000 times.
Yeah, and all that while just becoming a new father, and and trying to manage my work-life balance, to get the proper work-life balance, because it was a time when we started working from home, and I didn't want to lose that luxury I got from the work. So I had to focus on the work even more, not to lose it, so that I could work in the evenings on the other stuff, to just not to lose that commute time, just to be working. And then I needed also to have time with my family. So that it was a little bit stressy, and it still is. And it was until I even started taking classes again for school, just to get a new diploma. And it was on March this year. And I think I hit a breaking point at some point. And I just said, okay, I'm going to finish the diploma, and the orders will get backtracked, and whenever I'm done with an order, it will shipped out.
I'm glad you said that, because one of the questions that did come into me was, why does it take so freaking long for this thing? It's a month lead time. What's going on?
So there's two things. I can only
Fingers
work
and bandages.
Yeah, I have. So that's a good question, and that's a question I get a lot. But I have a full-time job. I still have a family. I have I'm playing in a band, so we have tours. So I'll leave the country to go somewhere else.
Oh, nice.
So I have to focus on that as well, because that's a responsibility I have on the other band members. Let's say I'm just talking about responsibilities I have on other people, not on myself, because I don't have responsibilities on myself. Let's talk about other people. And then there's, of course, people who paid, who want their product, but I don't have like the cash flow to buy in advance. I don't know how much product I will be able to sell on a short time's notice, but in the end, there's still some soldering to do. So I will have to take the time in the evening. Once I let the kids in the bed, it gets 10 p.m. until I can start even soldering, and at 6 a.m. the kids wake up. So there's a lot of that as well, and I'm trying to get it all together. So because there's people who paid, and it's always what I say, I have other people's money and they want something in exchange, and I want to fulfill that expectation. I wouldn't be pleased at all. We're not talking about a Kickstarter or pre-orders, but people are ordering so that I'm taking the money so that I can buy the stuff, not in advance, because like I said, my budget is quite small. I don't make a lot of money on these readers. If I'm being honest, it's not even like I'm not gaining anything. It's maybe 5%. And if you account my time spent and what I get on already late on my day job, it doesn't meet it at all. But I'm still doing it. I like it.
Yep.
That's the part I don't want to lose it. So that's something I want to create something. It's like you want to create something, and that's what I want to create. And I have a friend like Marcel who has done the PCBs. Marcel, the guy from the Slim Laser, and we have done like some PCBs, and we have been working on some stuff. And right now, this here, that's a battery powered one we have been trying to get working. So so it's quite interesting. It will have a button, so you can switch it on and off. It won't be turning on by proximity. You will have to push a button because the reader is like quite power hungry, but it will like go in standby. You can set standby times, all that stuff, but it takes time to test it, to have it sure it will work. I won't provide the batteries at all because I don't take that responsibilities for batteries. I don't want to be responsible if someone's house burns down. I can provide the PCB since it's low voltage, but I'm not going to take the responsibility if someone's house burns down because the battery was faulty. That's the thing I'm going to try to avoid. So you will be able to connect either a USB power bank or you will be able to connect the battery on it with a BMS. That's what's going on. Like we've started it like 4 or 5 months ago, but I went in vacation, then I fell sick, then I fell sick again, like always.
Those damn kids and their bugs.
Yeah, like we came back on September 14th. So yeah, I've been sick for a month.
Yeah.
On like just being sick all the time. Yeah, like with fevers and everything that goes. I've never been so sick. That's when you get kids, they just start going to the school and everything, and they bring everything home with them. And we're not used at all of that with that. So yeah, I got sick quite a lot, and I hope it's done for this year. And then we'll see how we get forward. So what I want to do now is to fulfill all the orders. So 1 month lead time means the latest one it has to wait a month, but I will process that all in a batch, which means if you order today and tomorrow I'm shipping out or next week, your reader will be maybe in that batch. So it's like it can take up to 1 month.
Yep.
Or even more now because I've been sick.
I think listen, as consumers and people who buy lots of stuff, sometimes people don't appreciate what's sitting behind this. And all they see is a website. I've bought a product, give them a product. Actually, what they don't realize is it's a guy sitting behind there who's not doing this as a job. You're providing a service here to almost to the home assistant community.
So there's another difficulty I have, and I've been thinking about it a lot. So if I would only produce one color, like just black cases.
Yep.
I could just have a batch, like 400 pieces, take them, put them in a box and ship them. But I produce on order because everyone wants you have like 4 case colors and you have 4 lids. For each case, you have another color, so that's a lot of colors.
Yeah.
And I can't have finished devices ready. So what I have to do is actually I have to solder the devices, test them, and then I have to print all the cases because I'm printing them myself. And then I put the devices in the cases like this, test them again, and then put the lid on it, test them again, and ship them out. And then in the end, the case gets to the client or to the customer, and it's quite annoying when you do a lot of work on that, and then people tell you, "I just got your track reader, but it isn't working." And you're like, how did that happen?
What's the most like from? And I get people are precious with how things look. For me, it's in the end of the day, it's a tag reader. If it's a solid white block, I couldn't really care less. Are people really precious over the colouring? And because I mean, the body you've got marble, white, blue, black, and then the artwork again, marble, blue, black, and white. So
whatever I do, at some point, I always discontinue some colors. Like I have let's say like 16 colors. I had 16 colors 4x4. Or even more, I don't know, I can't remember. And then I started discontinuing some colors because they didn't sell us. Black on black is one of those colors that's not available. So if you want to buy black on black, it won't be available. It will never be available anymore.
Got you.
Or maybe I will go back to black on black, but it will be just 4 solid colors: black, white, marble, and blue. And then we're done. I could also discontinue blue. I think it's a color that's quite flashy in your house. In your home. So when you have it somewhere in your home, it's too flashy. So maybe I will discontinue blue probably and stay on black or white and even go to white. I think white is a nice color.
White's nice. Now, are you going to move to the new logo?
That's another thing. So about the logo, I got the authorization to use it, but no devices shall have the Home Assistant logo because people might think it's a device from Nabukasa, from the Home Assistant people.
Yep.
But it isn't. That's not Home Assistant's device. And that's why every new device shall not have. So that's why they created the Made for Home Assistant logo, made for ESP Home, and all that stuff, because it shall avoid, how do you call it, ambiguity, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's confusion. They don't want people to confuse my product with Home Assistant stuff because they have their own product range.
Of course, and from a copyrighted point of view, they don't.
Exactly.
You want their logo on branding when it's not them. So I can understand.
Exactly. Yeah. So when we created Tech Reader, that was the first product ever.
Okay.
And then they said, okay, you can still use it, but when you create a new product, and I haven't talked to Paulus or to the Nabukasa team what they want me to do now because they changed the logo. So either I change the logo or I'll just go on.
Just no logo.
No logo at all, and it will be much easier for me.
Okay.
Like solid colors, and then I'll go just to white, and then I will be able to have a stock, and then will be the most difficult part will be the shipping. But I will have
a question for Andrea as well.
Go ahead.
Knowing what you know now, right, with everything, how much time it takes, would you start this again?
I would start it again, but I would only go one color. But I'm not in it for the money because I tell you why I would do it again, just because how much I learned. So I've just started to sell it as a hobby, and I just put a website on, and I thought, let's sell like 100 devices, and it will be fun. And then it just got a lot of money quite quickly. And the colleague told me, you have to set up a company. So we had to set up a company. My wife set up a company because I can't. There's like some limitations since I work for the government. I can't easily put up a company. So my wife has a company.
So all of a sudden, things start to get more complicated.
Yeah, he didn't do it. He was the wife that did all the soldering.
My wife. So, and
he just takes the credit.
So she has a company on her name, but since we're married, I'm in it as well. So if they come to take her money, they take my money as well. And then I've had to learn to make corporate taxes and all that stuff, and VAT, cross-country VAT, and then The big
my word.
VATs for I've been so that's why when I'm just wondering like how is he called, who did the presence sensor? Please help me.
Lewis.
Luis, yeah. I'm just wondering how he did, because he also got a kid in the meantime. So they got, I think so. I just warned him, be careful, try not to get burnt out quite quickly.
Yeah.
That's the most dangerous thing. You get a lot of orders because you don't even expect the success your device will have.
Yep.
At some point. And Paulus told me, but I didn't believe him. He said, like, get 500 devices ready. You will sell them. And I was like, nobody's interested in the tech reader. Surprise.
Yeah.
Everyone
was surprised. Yeah. So there was a lot of people, and I think there was a big letdown on my part on the other people, because they got orders, and I told them, yeah, sorry, I didn't expect it to be such a success. And then I try to catch up a lot, and then life comes. Like I said, to children, a wife, work, and everything. So I can't work full time on that stuff. And
not to put you in the spot, but I mean, what you've just described is it's a lot of work for something that's not profitable and it's not your job.
Yeah.
Will there come a time where you say, do you know what? Fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore?
No, not at all.
No? Okay, good.
No, because I'm in it for the learning experience as well.
Okay.
And I think there's Marcella as well. So I got to know some people with it as well. So we got to know each other, and I made a lot of connections due to it. Wouldn't I have had the tech reader? Maybe I would have a YouTube channel, because I got inspired by Frank to start YouTubing, and it was also always like that. But I needed to focus on something, and I got the tech readers, and like I said, I like doing them. And I would do it again, but it's just like, it's a lot of work, but it's fun. It's still fun.
That's good. That's really good. Good to know. A lot of background information I didn't know there, Andrea. So that's really good.
That's why I sometimes, but like I have also customers telling me, yeah, you know what? I don't care about your private life. I bought a product and I want it, and it's I can understand it, because it's fair. They don't need to know my private stuff. If they buy something, they want something.
Yeah.
And one big part of the tech reader, and that's something we always forget, we sell something, but it's not done yet. How does it work? How do I connect it? I bought your tech reader 2 years ago, and it's not working anymore. All that stuff. You know,
customer support.
I reinstalled Home Assistant. I reinstalled Home Assistant. The tech reader isn't connected to my house anymore. So there's a lot of that stuff as well, and so that there's support.
This is where ChatGPT enters the room.
Yeah. I'm still answering all the emails one by one, but I'm trying to so I'll do it also batch wise.
Yeah. Do you know what? You actually made me think, I'll need to try and get Lewis back on, because I'm really interested now, since his channel's grown since he was first on the podcast, and actually now he's got the EP1.
He's also getting the Mini now.
Yeah, what's he going through? All the hoops he's jumping through, and the customer support. I wonder what that's. I'd be really interested to know what that's like.
It was maybe easier for him on one side, because he probably had already a company for the YouTube channel.
Yeah, possibly.
At some point, you'll get a company for your YouTube channel, because it's so big.
Yeah.
You get an income. You have to declare it. I'm not sure how it works, but
good to know. Okay.
So maybe ask Luis. I'm curious how it will.
I'm curious. Yeah. You get back on. Okay, super. Thanks, Andrew. Matt, I'm going to come back to you. So, as a well-established YouTuber now, 45,000 subscribers, blow your own trumpet, whatever you want. You've must have a lot of kit, both through people sending you things and procuring stuff. So
yes.
What do you just spend on actually what becomes part of your smart home?
This is where it's a biggest problem for me, because like I got to the point when I'm super spoiled, so I could pick the latest toy and decide whether I want to have it in my home automation or not. But it also creates a problem, because I have the latest devices, but they don't always work with what I have. So it's very often that I have like, I don't know, 20 different PR sensors or from different companies, but I don't have 20 units of the one that I like. So it's a difficult choice sometimes, and sometimes a company will send me a couple of units so I can actually do something with it, and if I like it, I'll employ it in my own automation.
Yep.
But a lot of the time, it's just like literally I have like with the temperature sensors, for example. I use Zigbee as a protocol, but right now, even in this apartment, I have deployed, I think, 8 different temperature sensors, and I think I have 2 of them that are the same. The rest of them is different companies. I've learned that they're reliable and they work. And for example, in here, I have a one with a screen because I like to see the temperature here. But for example, in the bathroom, I don't need that, so I don't have one in a screen there. But majority of the time, it's that. It's a question is, what do I do? Because having everything but not in enough qualities can be a problem.
Yeah.
Because like I have all that stuff, but it's none of that is like everything isn't compatible. And like so what, do I go and buy it, or do I try to implement that? And it does create it fragments my ecosystem. So right now
that's where Matter comes into play.
Yes and no. We can talk about it because
we will talk about it.
Yeah, but that's how I've got right now. It's just I'm using currently alongside Node-RED, I'm using Tuya. Alongside Tuya, I'm using Alexa. Alongside Alexa, I am using still Sonos stuff. So those all things are working at the same time, and not everything is connected together, because it doesn't really have to be all the time. It would be nice, but I don't do stuff for the sake of doing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You need to be practical.
Okay. Let's take the segue to Matter then, and Andrea, since you brought it up.
Who likes the Matter? Hands up if you like the Matter.
I don't care at all for now.
I couldn't care less right now.
Okay.
I'm
would you
being
like
honest,
a hot take?
Everybody, it's going to be another Zigbee and another Z-Wave.
It's going to be worse. Here's
Andrea,
my hot take.
Yeah. So I keep hoping. I keep waiting for the light bulb moment that something clicks and I go, crikey, that's what Matter's for. But right now, I don't get it.
From where I'm sitting, right, to make the money on Matter devices is to cater to the broadest customer, right? The more customers, the more money you're gonna have.
Yeah.
If you make a switch that is Matter compatible, if someone has Alexa with Matter, they're gonna buy it. If someone has Google with Matter, they're gonna buy it. If someone has Apple with Matter, they're gonna buy it. If you make a hub with Matter, which is by default linked to a certain ecosystem, only people interested in that ecosystem will buy it. So by default, creating good hubs and looking after that ecosystem is the least profitable operation. And that's why you don't see really Matter hubs.
Yeah.
You have kind of like half-assed implementation of it. On top of that, Matter has a Zigbee problem, in which Apple, before they even launched any proper devices with it, Apple stepped up and said, like, yeah, okay, we're gonna release Apple devices that support Matter, but if you connect that Apple device to an Apple hub with Matter, you'll get extra functionality.
That's the stuff. That's actually
and
what
that's
they do. That's not only
that's
Apple
a
who's
Zigbee
doing
problem.
it. That's not only Apple is doing it. Also, there was I think Xiaomi is doing the same stuff, and or Aquara, and everybody is doing now their stuff. Like, because why do they do this? They want data.
Yep.
No, they want to lock you. Not even data. They want to lock you in an ecosystem. That's the only reason.
But that's what Matter was meant to dissolve, because Zigbee was the open standard, so everybody could do it. They then went off and created their own little silos. Matter was meant to be the hero that solves the siloed, fragmented universe and bring it all together again.
No, I think one of the reasons why Matter also surfaced is because Zigbee was such an open standard at some point that everyone was doing anything they wanted to, and suddenly Chinese devices started to flood west. By creating Matter, a new protocol, you can kind of get a handle on it and restart the entire process and start selling the same devices again.
Well, I think, is that the crux of the matter? My cynical side says to me that Zigbee's came to its end of its life cycle, in inverted commas, of products now need to be resold. How do you resell something? Well, you introduce a new communication standard and we have to resell the same product to you, but with something else.
And that's why we don't care. We all are like, we all have the devices already working. So why do we need a new device? Doing matter. Yeah. But if you're going, we are all kitted out. But if you're going to build a new home or to move an apartment, let's say, and then you'll consider, okay, I need something that works with everything, and you don't have Home Assistant. Forget about Home Assistant for like. So I'm being a Home Assistant user. That's why I say, forget about like a congregator for all the devices. So you want something that works with everything, and there's Matter. Matter will work with everything.
Yeah.
So you'll get an hub, and then you can have multiple devices. And the most important part is who will provide the hub, who will get all the information. That's the because nowadays they don't care about selling devices anymore. They want data to sell to brokers. Or they want patterns, like behavior patterns.
And that's a great segue. Philips Hue, as one of the words in the title here, is Philips' huge mistake. So it's well publicised, been in the media. For those who are not aware, at the end of September, Philips Hue announced that they were going to require users to sign up to a new Hue account by the end of this year, 2023. Now, up until now, I believe that accounts were optional. However, the new policy was that every user would need to create or sign up to this new account, which automatically mandated you to providing Hue with the consent to collect your usage data, which they then could sell on to third parties, marketing, etc., etc. Now, what's been good about Hue up until this stage was local API. You could use it completely offline, and actually you didn't need to share your usage data to their cloud. The policy change would completely kind of eradicate that. Now, there was some backlash, YouTubers, bloggers, etc. I think I only became aware of the backlash because I'm in this space, and I think if you were just the average consumer in the smart home, you wouldn't have heard it because I don't think it was well publicised. The Verge talked about it, but pretty much there was no other big media outlets talking about it, because I think in this day and age, people really don't care about their data being taken. I think it's as sad as that may sound. However, Philips Hue have ever so slightly backtracking this from what I understand. I know Paulus was really vocal for Home Assistant, and he then posted that they changed the policy change ever so slightly, that the account mandatory, the new Hue account would mandatorily give access to the configuration data, which is needed obviously for system updates. However, you would be able to opt in and give additional consent or optional consent whether or not you wanted to provide your usage data. So that kind of optional piece came into play. However, if you wanted to continue to use cloud services like out-of-home connectivity, you would need the new account, and you would need to provide that usage data. So all a little bit of a mess, but I think to the point we're talking about matter of Philips, you've obviously got to a point where they've seen a market of we need this usage data to do something different with it. We've not had it yet. We're probably the biggest player in this space in some countries and in areas of the world. We need to do something else. Let's get hold of this data. Personally, do I care that Hue can understand when I turn a light on? I don't know. And I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on it. I'm not entirely... I've kind of gone along with the hullabaloo. A lot of people are kicking off, and yeah, I was kind of brought around in the forensic thinking, you know what, I'm really angry about this. And when I've sat down and thought about it, thinking, do I really care that Hue know how often I turn my lights on? In this day and age when everybody has everything about me anyway, really? I don't know.
So you are like the frog. You know the anecdote with the frog? He's in a kettle, and they turn on the boiler, and the water becomes slowly warm and warmer, and he doesn't care until he's that cooked, because the water slowly got warmed, and he got accustomed to it. And that's you actually right now. So I'm not the the head guy and saying, hey, here, conspiracy or everything, but I can't wait to get rid of all my cloud devices.
So don't get me wrong. I've already now started to make plans to get rid of the Hue Hub. So like that's where I'm at. But do I feel worked up enough about it that it bothers me that much? Is what I'm struggling with.
So there's another trade of like commodity. Why do people use the Nabucasa cloud? Well, there's one point, you support the community and you support the guys, but there's also the commodity. You don't need to set up your Alexa hub and everything. It's all in the cloud, so they manage it for you, and that's the easy part. You could also do it all by yourself. That's what they always say. Like all the voice stuff you can have locally, you can use their cloud. And why do people use the cloud? Commodity, and that's with everything. That's commodity. It's easier. It's far more simple, and that's when people get to use the cloud. I have another example. All the cars we are driving right now, or most people have new cars. All these cars have SIM cards. Or like I'm driving an electric car, and that's connected to a cloud. I get the data from the cloud, but I'm not the only one getting data through the cloud. So the car company knows even my geographic location at all times. It bothers me, but in the end, what can I do? Remove the SIM card? What will it change? So it needs to have a SIM card so you can call the SOS services, and they say, since we have a SIM card in the car, let's get the data from it.
Yeah.
They know everything about the car. Like if you've been to a checkup, and they will say, oh no, you don't get any warranty anymore. You haven't been to the checkup anymore. You have driven too fast. You have driven too slow. You have driven on low battery. You shouldn't have. There's all the stuff they can monitor. They can monitor behaviors of people. They could even shut down the car probably if you don't pay your loan. They don't do it right now, but right now, who knows what will happen in 10 years?
Yeah.
In a more dystopian future.
Matt, what's your thoughts? Does this bother you? Whether you're a Philips Hue user or not, does the change of policy bother you as a consumer? Have Philips gone too far, or do you really care?
The change of policy was probably needed, mostly because if you want to sell to anyone other than us, you need this. You need cloud. You need to make it easy. You need to reach out to a customer. What we do, the home automation, for us, it's exciting. It's new. We're living in the future. But for majority of the people, this is a way to actually enable accessibility at home.
Yep.
And that cannot be complicated. It cannot be more than setting up, touching one button to pair something. You cannot expect a person in their 50s that does not really know what they're doing with a computer to go through a process of setting up their own servers and installing stuff and learning all those tools. It's easy for us, but as soon as you try to tell what you're doing to someone that hasn't got a clue, you'll quickly realize how soon they lost the interest, because it's not the interest. They don't want to do it. They want to go in for a walk. They want to play with a dog. They don't want to learn this. They just want to be able to, I don't know, press the button and get something happen, or say voice commands. And so, but the conversation that we should have is how the companies handle this data and what can they access to benefit the customer. So to do the research, what's working, what doesn't, how to make better devices, and what constitutes a proper privacy breach. So which data should be encrypted and not accessed except for court ruling and stuff like that. And that's the conversation that we should have in that space, because having access to a data and submitting data is a tool. And as with every tool, it can be used for the good and for the bad. And until there is a legislation that protects the customer and gives direction to what company can do with that data, then it can be abused, or it doesn't have to be maliciously abused, but by the poor security process, we can be exposed to stuff that we don't want to be exposed to. And what was it? Eufy cameras were getting a slack for leaving the cameras unencrypted and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So it could provide, access to a malicious party to really embarrassing information, and no consumer should be facing that. So I think GDPR was stepping in a good direction when it gave a customer power in Europe to manage their data, not the way they collect the data, but could take away that data. And as a person that worked in a customer service and processing GDPR requests, I know how company was scared of these and how they were doing everything step by step according to all the protocols in order not to get fined. So I know those policies were working great, and that's what we need for the entire sector. We need great policies to protect the customers, but also allow the companies to innovate and use that data in a meaningful way for them.
Yeah. If they don't have the data, they will never. The thing is, like, let's take a big company, one of the biggest, and we are willingly giving our data to them. That's Amazon. We are just now focusing on Hue and Philips because they have been doing that and they're starting to change it, but everybody's using Amazon, and Amazon collects so much data. They know more about our lives than we know ourselves, and they use it. Is it for the good or for the bad? That's a good question. And it's the same with you, like Matt said. They need the data. They need to learn. We do the same at work. Like, I work for the government entity, and we have a website, and we monitor the website usage just to make it more accessible, more friendly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We learn it also from the home. Our home automations, we also use the data. Like, we say, oh, okay, this automation is working quite good, but I always have to make this small change, and then you will go and adapt. That's what's important also for the customer, make it more user-friendly, like Matt said.
Yep.
And that's the point of Hue. Hue is not, we are tinkerers, we like to play with our homes. But as soon as my partner comes home, she just wants it to work.
Absolutely.
She doesn't want to bother with Home Assistant or anything. She wants to touch a switch or give a voice command, like Matt said, and then it has to work. So I just put myself in her position. She doesn't care how it works. It just needs to work.
Absolutely. And that, listen, average consumer nowadays, like you mentioned, Amazon, Facebook, Google accounts, your data, for sort of far more sensitive data, is being taken and held elsewhere than Philips, knowing when you switch it. With a perfect example, Matt, your phone, absolutely. So the policy change, I think, and I fully appreciate Philips have needed to do it as an organisation, as a business model. They need to do it. Potentially the policy change should have been that optional piece first and foremost. They didn't. It was almost mandated. We're going to take your data usage and end of. They seem to have backtracked from that, and it's now a case of no. We'll take the configuration data first, and if you then consent and opt in, we'll then do your data usage. I've got no issues with this whatsoever.
I think they need to obtain the consent right now, especially in European markets, to hold any data for cloud. So if you want to have any cloud control, which includes remote access, which obviously we're all interested in because we want to control our homes from outside, that's the point.
Yes.
Then for them to keep that data, keep IP of the device they're going to be talking to, they need that permission for.
Absolutely.
For this.
Yeah. Now, I don't know... You can verge into the area of, well, if I don't want Hue to have any of my data, I'll disconnect it from the cloud, and therefore I won't have an account, and potentially do the devices then become inoperable?
It's a shitty move on that one. Like, if you want to resolve it this way, it is, because I understand what they're going for, but making a device, if you've made a device that you're not going to support in the old way, you should discontinue the device. Yep. However, leave it with some tools that, okay, this is the feature set that we sold it to you. You can still use it. There's a program you can use to make it completely offline. You can continue using it. But if you want to use newer devices, you're going to have this and this and this to do. So there should have been a transition period in which these devices are going to be slowly pushed out from the market. That should be started maybe like 6 months to a year before, when they stop selling that SKU and they provide identical device with the new terms and conditions, start selling this, and then that backlash would be probably much weaker.
Yeah, and just leave the old accounts as possible as they are, and starting from like 1st of January, it will be cloud. For new accounts, it will be cloud mandatory. If you don't have a cloud account, it won't work. Another example is like, just imagine, do you use Facebook login on other devices than your Facebook account?
So, I don't have Facebook, so I'm clear.
Yeah, but let's, for instance, nowadays you can log into like a web page.
I use Google for that.
Yeah, you use Google for that. So Google gets all your data, and Facebook gets all the other data. So whatever. So that's the thing. So that's the commodity part again. We like commodity. So why do we have to create a new user? Why do we have to create a new email? We have it. So let's just use that user account. Meanwhile, we will have cross-referencing on devices. They will get your data. That's how Facebook works. There has to be something. And it's the same with you. But like Matt said, maybe they should have said like, okay, all the old accounts you can opt in, all new accounts, new people, new users, this will be the new policy. Every new device you buy will have to be attached to the cloud anyways, and all the old devices will still continue to work. It's quite difficult.
It's difficult, yeah. And I think for them to manage that separate world would probably be too challenging, so they've maybe just decided to go for the Big Bang approach. Okay, good discussion. Whether I don't know what the answer is there with the right or wrong, but I think
there's no right or wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we should just, like I said, we should have a conversation about this, and we should have a legislative action about it to make it consumer orientated, but also, like I said, not to limit the innovation in that space, because it's where we're heading with home. And I think now we're just experimenting, we're just playing, we're just trying things out. But 20, 30 years later, when we are going to be pressed for going to carbon neutral, when we're going to be limiting energy, when we're going to be delivering electricity rather than fossil fuels, I think actually actioning the home automation in such a way where you can preserve the energy, manage the grid, and work with the grid, it's going to become maybe not a standard in that time, but more of a standard. So that's where the smart homes are going.
These companies they ultimately want to own the home, because they want to know your habits, everything about you, in order they can tailor products and tailor your home to that. So you're absolutely right. We're slowly moving to that area.
There's another thing, like in Luxembourg, when we get like smart car chargers, you get more incentives if they are smart. Why do they do it? It's easy. It will have like a shut off. So whenever there should be a grid, too much energy used in the grid, because the grid can't cope with all the cars charging at some point. There's no infrastructure for it. So what they can do, they can just shut down the different car chargers at some point, or maybe lower the power they give out so that we don't overload the grids. That's something in Luxembourg that you really get incentives for that stuff. You still can get dumb chargers, but you get more incentives for smart chargers. They will be connected to be controlled. Even the dumb chargers, I think they can be shut down by the electricity company. And I think that's a good move in the end. It's quite dumb because it's not your charger anymore, but it's better.
Hey, either this or hospital, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Would you like to limit the charging of your car, or disable a couple of respirators in the hospital?
It's for the greater good. Like that's the stuff. And as you said, I wanted to buy a new house, and I told them I don't want your. They had like an electricity company, and they said we just installed Biticino, and I said I don't want it. I want KNX, and they said we don't do it. Why? Because they have contracts. There's also the stuff. So everybody has contracts. Money rules the world, and data and everything. And
yeah, I recently received a letter from my energy supplier to say we're going to a new tariff. If you go to this new tariff, you get a better discount at certain hours. That when we know that the network's not being used, would you like to move to this tariff? Absolutely not, because it doesn't suit me for my usage. However, in the future, what they would like to do is say, we know, based on your habits and the data we've extracted, you don't use energy at this point in time. Therefore, we'll give you a tariff based on what your usage data is and your consumer habits. They don't know that yet, but that's where they want to get to. Mm-hmm. Great. That was a really good discussion. Okay. Node-RED. Next topic.
What? Nah.
I'm fine. I feel ganged up.
And for the listeners, we're laughing here because myself and Andrea and Matt have
I'll go and get a coffee. See you later.
Matt, who I call Mr. Node-RED. So, for those who don't know, and listen, I'll by no means, and I'm actually going to probably bastardize Node-RED here because I don't know enough about it. I've dabbled, I've tinkered, I've tried, and I gave up. So for those who don't know, Node-RED, and I'm on their website here, so I'm just quoting what they've got here, is a low-code programming for event-driven applications. Node-RED is a programming tool for wiring together hardware devices, APIs, and online services in new and interesting ways. Matt, you're a heavy Node-RED user. Talk to us about Node-RED and why we should care about it.
Right, you shouldn't. Podcast
over. Matt said don't care.
That's it. Here's the thing. Node-RED is great for many reasons, but we're talking about home automation, and it's just a tool. And I'm gonna always say that the tool is as good as you're gonna use it, and as good as someone else's skill. And as a Node-RED user, I have absolutely nothing against Home Assistant, even though my Twitter is full of cheeky remarks about it. But I think Node-RED wasn't made for home automation. It was adopted because it's event-driven, and automations are event-driven. But the one thing I would always like someone to consider is why they're doing home automation, what they want to get out of it. Now, if you just want to become a YAML expert and automate your home, your Home Assistant is a great move because it enables this and makes it a breeze. And it does a lot of things great, and it has a great community, and it's very rich. And I haven't tried it properly, so I would speak out of my terms if I would try to describe it accurately. However, with that said, without Node-RED, I wouldn't have a smart house. I wouldn't have some wacky projects that are often not possible in home automation, even though probably no one cares about them. But most importantly, I wouldn't learn how to code, and I wouldn't learn how to understand programming. And Node-RED gives you that opportunity that it can be as simple as you want and as complex as you want. So you can start with connecting to nodes on a piece of dashboard and make stuff happen virtually by just typing a couple of words. Or you can open the function node and start programming JavaScript. Now, if you remove the brackets, you're kind of ready to program in Python. If you get into a Python structure, you're steps away from C++. If you tried C++, you can land yourself a job in robotics without having engineering degree. I did fine art. And the fact that I did automation and the fact that I know a little bit of JavaScript and I had some projects to showcase landed me a job in an industry that makes robots for different industries.
Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic.
And I got so much out of it. And Andrea has said that he got knowledge from starting a product. He learned how to start up a product, how to make it happen, how to ship it, how to deliver it, how to create a company, how to manage your company. So much knowledge about it, so much personal development and progress. And I'm going to sound a little bit cheeky, and I do apologize, and I don't want to be patronizing for Home Assistant users, but there is a difference between someone that has ability to automate something in Node-RED, write some code, and feels great about integrating different APIs, than someone that just uses a Home Assistant. You wouldn't put a Home Assistant on your resume, would you? Unless you're applying for unless you're applying for Home Assistant job, and that is the difference.
Yeah.
Node-RED is just, yes, it's more complex. Yes, sometimes I'm reinventing the wheel, but it is so much more, and it's a path to your home automation and your personal development. And if this is what you want to get out of it, then Node-RED's for you. If you want to just get a couple of lights switched on, please your significant other with some cool automation, impress your friends, Home Assistant, the easiest way to go.
Yeah. And that's probably my downfall, because whenever I've tried to tinker with it, I thought, I'll just try and spin up a quick automation, got frustrated and binned it. What I've not done is said, right, I'm going to invest the next 3-6 months to learn about it, do the programming. I've not done that. So whenever I've dabbled, I've got frustrated and it's not for me.
Yeah, but you've been doubling. Node-RED has a steep learning curve, and once you're in it, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's more like you have a lot of components, and how do you use that component in correlation to that other component? How can I get the data from that one to trigger something else? And that's the thing. Like I've been using Home Assistant since 2017 when we wrote YAML, and only YAML, and I've been using also Node-RED. I'm hiding myself because.
Hold on a minute, Andrea. This is
I've been using for some automations were just too complicated to make in Home Assistant, or even impossible at the time.
Yeah.
Because they added so much stuff in it, but in 2019 or something, there were some stuff that never would work. Conditions is something that's totally new. people don't know it. So now using automations has become quite easy, a lot easier. When they got to the visual interface, to the UI using Home Assistant automations, but Node-RED is so much more than only automations. And that's the thing that Matt says, if you want to do much more. So I've been using Node-RED for some personal stuff, like get stuff out of my website, my selling website, get the names, get the accounts, just to create labels. And that's just a thing I could probably do with Home Assistant, but it's much easier with Node-RED. And that's the thing. Node-RED is a powerful tool, and it came in this home automation stuff, but it's much more than only home automation. You can do so much more.
Yeah.
Home Assistant is just using it. And the other part is, another thing you can do is if you say, okay, I'm not using Home Assistant as my main automation stuff, but I'm using Node-RED as my backbone. So if Home Assistant dies, you still have Node-RED as a backup.
Yeah.
That's also something for people important. So whenever your Home Assistant will die, Node-RED is much more stupid. It just does that stuff. It's more stable than Home Assistant. Without being mean, it doesn't need to be nice and shining and user-friendly. It just needs to work. And yeah, it's like KNX.
One of the things that I really liked about Node-RED is that it doesn't end where Home Assistant ends. And one of the good examples of it, like recently I received an email, a quite substantial donation for sharing my code. But I wrote a tool in Node-RED that performs all the benchmarks for me automatically. And it charts the graphs, and I can use the database to stack them. And it's a nice, really a tool that I use in my process of reviews of the Raspberry Pi cases when I want to compare thermal benchmarks. And honestly, I spend way too much time to polish it and make it automated and stuff like that. And I know I'm only the person that's going to use this, but I've learned so much just by doing this in terms of how to play with the code, how to make stuff work. And I know that stuff would not be possible with Home Assistant, no matter how if you can bend yourself backwards. And it's just having that freedom. It's something that I really loved about Node-RED, even if, like I said, maybe 3 to 6 months. I think that's a slightly more time than you would need to kind of get comfortable with Node. Yeah. I believe if you're going to spend about an hour a day, you would need about 2-3 weeks to get to the point where you feeling comfortable with what you're doing, like basic automations. After that, it's just how much would you like to commit towards learning how to code.
Okay, very interesting. And actually,
give it a go.
I'll give it a go. The big review there was actually Andrea.
There is Node-RED 3.0 and the dashboard 2.0, and at some point I'll have my tutorials revised for those two versions.
Ooh.
I started writing. That's 10 articles out of it. That the draft list. It's that.
Brilliant. Okay, so we've came to the end of what we're going to cover. A couple more questions from the community, and then we're going to move on. The final section is the mystery questions. Community questions first. Matt.
Good God.
2 people asked this. Where are you
Okay.
from? Because people have said you've got a nice accent, but where does that accent originate from?
Well, I was born in Poland.
Okay.
However, I lived in North Manchester for like a third of my life. And now I'm living on the East Coast, which has completely different accent for the last couple of years. So my accent is constantly evolving. And that's me 20 years in here, arriving to Britain and starting my journey here.
It's unique. I've always tried. I don't wonder what Matt's accent's from, but actually people were curious as well because they wanted to know. Okay, mystery questions. Andrea, I'm going to come to you first. You both get 1 mystery question each. Completely silly, completely random, but embrace it and try and answer the best way you can. Okay. So, Andrea, in the UK, if you said to somebody, I know somebody called Andrea, they would expect it to be a lady. You have a woman's name.
I do know.
So, on that premise, can you give Matt an appropriate woman's name and why you think Matt should be given this lady's name. Go.
Matilda.
Nah, you just look like a Matilda. Nah, that's too close. But yeah, I don't know what name I could give to him as a woman.
Let me show you my feminine side.
Jennifer.
That's a stripper name.
That's what you say. Now you've offended a lot of Jennifers.
Send your hate mail to Matt.
But I have no reason why. That's just like I think names is difficult to say why I would give someone a name. It's spontaneous. Like my company name or my website name is I Donno because I don't have another idea. I'd like to have another name. Like not enough tech sounds nice, but I never had like that spark that came. And that's a lot of names. Like I've got used to Andrea, and as you say, it's a woman's name. A lot of people spell it. A lot of people. So last time I went to vacation, and they said, "Okay, so I've got your woman's room, Andrea." I said, "No, that's me." And they say, "Yeah, but you have a woman's name." I say, "No, you have in Italy. It's a man's name. In all the other countries, it's a woman's name.
Yeah.
Even in Spain or in Latin-speaking countries, it's a woman's name. But in Italy, it's a man's name." And I have had my quite share of difficulties with it, but I got used to it, and I like it. I came to like it, and I compared it always to Andrea Bocelli, the big Italian,
of course,
opera singer. So whenever I need to need a comparison, I said, look, there's also that guy, and he's known. So that's Andrea. That's not always a girl.
Good. So Andrea and Jennifer. We'll start with Jennifer then. Is it Jennifer?
Yeah, Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Actually, I know why I would have said Jennifer. And now, Matt, I'm going to compare you to a dog. I'm sorry. I always
as if stripper wasn't bad enough.
Why? Yeah. I always wanted a dog, and it had to be a male dog. But I wanted to call him Jennifer.
As a revenge on your parents.
No, just for fun. You call the dog Jennifer, and they say, "Oh, what a nice," and then they have like big things hanging there, and they say, "No, it's a boy. It's him, Jennifer. Him." That's why it just happened like this, because we use like male pronouns in Luxembourg a lot. So it's the male Jennifer, and I liked it a lot for a dog. So in the end, we didn't get a dog. I got 2 children. That's enough.
I mean, speaking of names, there is a reason why it's called Not Enough Tech, because no one in the world is going to pronounce my name. So I was limited on that regard, because otherwise, try typing Mateusz Żołnierczyk into the website and try to find me.
Go back there. Give me that one again slowly.
Mateusz Żołnierczyk.
Whoa.
Is that the whole name, or is it split?
That's my name. That's my first and last name.
First and last name, yeah. It's like Marcel.
I go by Matt because it's more universal.
Yeah.
Let's go for Jennifer now. Okay, super.
Yeah, Jennifer works.
Jennifer,
actually, fun fact: Jennifer in Poland would be a male's name, because all the females' name in Poland they end with A.
Wow.
Yeah.
Learning something new every day. Wow, this is superb. Okay.
You
Jennifer.
can use that. If you're gonna name your dog Jennifer now, you can use that.
There you can. Jennifer, on to your question then. So, you recently reviewed the Raspberry Pi 5, which I thought was a stellar review. If the listeners haven't watched it yet, head over to Matt's channel, check out a really, really good in-depth review of the Raspberry Pi 5. However, Raspberry Pi have had numerous problems since COVID, etc., with enough chip shortages, and trying to get your hands on one has been brutal. So in the world where the Pi Foundation decided to rebrand and rename, tell me why they should rebrand to Pumpkin Pi.
Tell you why.
Tell me why.
Obviously, because they're going to drop the typical and boring green PCB, and they're going to start printing the orange PCB, which is obviously 20% faster.
Obviously.
It's like racing stripes on a car. They just speed up your car.
Done. There you go.
Yeah, but then you have Orange Pi. What about Orange Pi?
Well, they are knockoff, obviously. and I have one. It's blue. So how's that orange?
Yeah, blue, but that's almost isn't.
The navy blue.
Right, gents. Thank you very much. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been a really, really good conversation. Before
It's
we
been fun a
go,
lot.
anything you want to plug? Matt, I'll come to you first.
Well, Not Enough Tech. Anywhere you're gonna Google it, you're probably gonna come across my stuff. So feel free to follow me there and check on my social media if you expect something off the cuff. I also have a second channel which I don't advertise a lot. It's Tech After Hours. That's what it's called, and I'm expecting to share a little bit more stuff in there from my LA trip in November. So that might be fun.
Oh, Tech After Hours. Is that the more kind of sultry?
It's whatever doesn't fit into Not Enough Tech.
Okay.
It ends at Tech After Hours, and it's just happy things. It gives me opportunity to experiment because once in a while I get bored with the standard format of what I do, and I want to do something a little bit more wacky or experiment with some editing, and it ends up on that channel instead.
Okay, super. I've just subscribed. Looking forward to checking that out.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Andrea, anything you'd like to plug?
Not at all. Only everything for Matt down there. There is. There.
Buy RFID readers. There.
Everything for him because I really enjoy his channel. I like his video quality. The only thing I have to ask him is, I've just watched like sometimes your live streams. Why is the quality so shitty of your live streams while your video quality is so good?
Well, there is a couple of things, right? Half of the time, YouTube tends to reset my stream bitrate. So I end up starting a stream, and then my bitrate takes a hit, and everything is just pants, and I don't know until after the stream. So that's part of it. Second of it, like I do have this is the webcam I'm using for the live streams. So this one now. But even though this is a fancy webcam, and I only got it like a month ago or so, no, more than 3 months ago. But my camera I use now for the YouTube channel, this is like £2,500 investment plus another 600 for the second lens. I could switch over.
Yeah.
There is a significant difference since I've upgraded from my GX85. So I've decided to invest in the channel because I've enjoyed it. So,
and it's an income, so why not invest it back?
Absolutely.
To be fair, like I could get away with a lot of it. It was just me learning from the criticism I got from people, and for a long time I didn't do much with that criticism because I knew I'd have to spend some money on it to kind of address certain things. I have new lights which I purchased this year. I have a new microphone which, after my flop in Maker Central, that video is still coming, by the way. I'm just working through a massive audio issues. So I got new microphones that hopefully gonna work much better. And every time I have a massive failure, I said, you know what? I'm just going to throw money at the problem. And I finally got in there when I put some videos into the podcast.
Well, Matt, I'm actually in the market for a webcam, so I might find out what you're using because it looks quite good.
I'm gonna have a giveaway. So
I'll hold
two
off
webcams.
The giveaway.
One of them is going to be the one I'm using right now, which is Offspot Tiny 2. It's called. And I really like it, and it's really good if you want to do some live stream.
Super.
I really need to create a YouTube channel only for the stuff you get shipped all the time for testing. It's like how many vacuums do you have? 7.
Yeah.
And how many rooms do you have?
3.
See.
But he's got a super clean house, Andrea. Super clean.
Yeah. So whenever
they always
falls,
they always fight for possession because I got all of them deployed, so they always keep bumping into each other. But
just
my advice, guys, don't start a YouTube channel. Don't.
I will
never. How many times I got to the point when I just, you know what? I'm just gonna buy that stuff as long as I don't have to review it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. People don't realize it. That's the thing. People see always the end product, but they don't see the work that goes behind it.
Correct.
I've tried, and I've also written blog posts, and that is a lot of work. And not only writing them, But today I've write the blog post, and tomorrow it's outdated because there's been a change somewhere else.
Yeah.
Even code YAML. So I've been writing YAML, and I just decided let's keep it as it is. But I've had people saying, yeah, but that's obsolete. And I say, yeah, what do you want me to do? I can't split in 4,000 parts. And that's the same with the YouTube channel. People only see the end production, but they don't know how much work has gone in it. How often does Matt record something? What has gone wrong?
Yeah.
That's why sometimes I enjoy live streams, because live streams are easier for the creator. It just comes naturally. So they don't get, and that's what I enjoy. I really enjoy live streams because that's like the raw person. You get to see the raw person behind the camera, and that's a lot of fun. For me, that's my personal take. I like his reviews. I like Matt's reviews, but I'd rather have him like doing live streams and struggle with everything and see the real deal than having a clean production.
I always feel that this is boring because on average my live stream is about an hour. So live stream, like I enjoy doing it because I feel like I've got company, and it's so nice to to share. Because majority, like I've got stuff in here, right? Like that's coming soon.
Ooh.
And that's coming soon, and I both build them on the live streams because it was fun, and it's so much nicer when you get to do that with people, and you can ask questions, they point out your mistakes, and you feel like you with your buddies and you do something, right? And I'm not a person that goes to a pub and drinks. I don't enjoy this. So that's why I do those live streams for stuff that is I feel it's engaging. I know no one's going to watch this after the live stream because it's just too long, too slow, and people don't often have enough time for this. But that kind of mentality I've got for the live streams, like if there is something I'm super excited and I want to share and talk to people, like do the live stream. If I want to just provide you with like 10-15 minutes of polished content that you can get what you need out of it, and it's obviously edited out and made nice.
And talking of live stream, I wasn't going to mention it, but I might mention it. There's a surprise live stream coming along in November, where myself and a few others are going to get together for going to be a chaotic live stream. Myself, Andrea, Matt, are you going to be there?
No, I'll be in LA.
Oh, you'll be in LA, do you think? So myself, Andrea.
When is it?
Bearded Thinker, Aaron from Make It Work, James Callahan, Frank from Home Assistant. I think it's going to be in November. I think we've still to agree on a date, Andrea.
Still? I need to check the dates.
If it's after 17th, I might be able to join.
When are you back?
On 17th. So
it's looking potentially like the 18th.
That's good because the 17th
I'll be jet lagged.
well, it makes it even more fun.
Just get the beer.
Surely, Matt, would you like to?
Do we all need to get a sensor button like they have on the wine show? You have to push the button whenever you say something.
It's going to be messy.
Yeah, it will be a continuous beep from start to end.
It'll be carnage. Lots of cursing, swearing, lots of booze. So that's coming in November. I'll release information about it, but it's going to be a really fun live stream. So keep an eye out for that being released. Cool.
It was fun time last time I've joined one, so definitely would recommend you guys to tune in.
Yeah, they are always fun. The only thing is, we'll see how it will be to be really live.
Yes.
Like
with an audience throwing questions in it.
Yeah.
That'll be good fun. Good. Gents, it's been an absolute blast.
Thank you for your time and thank you for doing it.
Thank you. Usual gentleman agreements for the listeners and viewers. If you enjoyed this and you thought it was worth the hour or 20 minutes that you've listened to or watched it,
to this guy.
Hit the subscribe, hit the usual like, tickle the bells, and download the podcast episodes.
Somewhere here.
Somewhere, yeah.
Gents, thank you very much for your time. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Nice evening. Ciao.